Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Sandusky, Cuyahoga, and Ashtabula counties, and beyond. This is Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, or stream us anywhere with the Moody Radio app, other streaming services, and at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
President Biden made it clear that the U.S. does not support independence for Taiwan. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. Biden made the announcement Saturday after Taiwanese voters re-elected the pro-democracy presidential candidate and rejected Chinese pressure to vote against him. The U.S. has said since 1979 that it does not support a formal declaration of independence by Taiwan, but has remained its biggest arms supplier. With temperatures in the Cleveland area forecasted to only reach the teens over the next few days, city leaders are taking steps to help folks find shelter from the cold. The Michael Zone, Zelma George, Collinwood, and Sterling Rec Centers will be open from 11:30 a.m. until 10 p.m. each day, today through Wednesday, to provide people with places where they can stay warm. Cleveland and the nation pause today to remember the life and work of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King was born 95 years ago today. The third Monday of January is the day set aside by the country each year in observance of the holiday. Expect to find federal, state, and county officials closed. Banks will also be closed, and there will be no regular mail delivery. Sports and weather in just a moment.
Would you like to grow closer to God in 2024? Our Daily Bread devotionals have everything you need to dig into His Word. Each booklet is delivered monthly and includes encouraging daily scripture readings, spaces to write personal reflections, guided prayers, and more. See how God can transform you through His Word this year by subscribing to Our Daily Bread Daily Devotionals at getodb.org/Moody. That's getodb.org/Moody.
In sports, the Steelers battle the Bills in Orchard Park this afternoon after league officials postponed Sunday's regularly scheduled contest due to the snow in Buffalo. And in case you missed it, the Cinderella season has come to an end as the Browns got beat by the Texans 45-14 in the wild card round on Saturday. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny this morning, then becoming partly sunny. Highs are going to be around 13 degrees. And at last check, we had clear skies, 4 degrees in Cleveland. Akron and Canton, cloudy and 4. Lorain, Elyria, clear skies and 2 degrees.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and let me share a little bit from his 1957 speech, Give Us the Ballot, his first national speech. In the midst of these prevailing conditions, we come to Washington today pleading with the President and members of Congress to provide a strong, moral, and courageous leadership for a situation that cannot permanently be evaded. We come humbly to say to the men in the forefront of our government that the civil rights issue is not ephemeral, evanescent, domestic issue that can be kicked around by reactionary guardians of the status quo. It is rather an eternal moral issue which may well determine the destiny of our nation in the ideological struggle with communism. The hour is late. The clock of destiny is ticking out. We must act now before it is too late. Have we gotten any better in the ensuing 67 years?
And that's your Moron Moment.
Moron.
And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:04. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland.
Hi.
Hello.
Good to see you, Ron. The ladies don't want to respond.
I didn't know who you were talking to.
Mornings with Brian, WCRF 607, and a couple of things to get into right away. One of them, we had a photo shoot on Friday for the team.
We did.
And it wasn't as traumatic as I expected.
Oh, good. You seemed more comfortable.
I was. The photographer in Hudson we went to, he was like super fun and cool.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Lauren and Daria told me what to do, so it was less stressful.
I would like to mention that you brought the most clothes out of all of us.
You brought a literal suitcase.
I think
Yeah.
probably 12 shirts. 12
You know, I think it sounds about right.
for a 2-hour shoot
In a suitcase with shoes,
with 4 pair of shoes and like 6 pair of pants.
because I can't dress myself. Thank you. And then I would ask you, what should I wear? And you'd be like, I don't know. And then Daria would tell me, wear that. And I'd
Okay,
be like,
great.
yes, thanks, Daria.
Didn't say it quite like that, but you're welcome.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't kind of
Can't
that.
even pick out my own outfits. You want to pick out yours, please?
I kind of did want that. Ron made it easy by bringing like 3 things. So
Yeah.
2
Brought
polos.
a black polo, a blue polo, and a red polo.
Yep.
Yes.
I can't wait to get the pictures back. Do we know when they're going to come
No,
back
I
so
don't
we
know.
can post them?
I looked at the contract to see like if he guarantees a certain time and he doesn't. So
Okay. Well, we'll wait for that. All right. Now I want to get all up in your business.
Okay.
So I want to know about your sleep habits.
oh, okay.
Like, tell me, you know, what are we wearing? Are there any idiosyncrasies of your routine at night? And we'll start with Ron, who probably just plops in bed in his clothes.
Yeah. Let's see. The routines.
And there's a reason for this, by the way. There's a new report out. We'll get to it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Your basic, use the bathroom, brush your teeth, all those kind of things.
Good hygiene.
Yeah.
All right. Are we wearing pajamas? Are we wearing
No.
clothes?
I am wearing my underwear, and that is all.
A lot of people do that.
Okay.
Don't be embarrassed.
I'm not embarrassed that I wear it. I'm just curious
Don't
how
wanna say it on here.
best say it on the air. But
Yeah. How would you say that?
yeah.
Undergarments.
Yeah.
Undergarment.
So, yeah.
And then we just get in bed and we're asleep.
Pretty much. I think about things, I just pick something up like, oh, let's see, tomorrow Dave Safransky's in. I wonder if he's going to be bringing a sash. Maybe I should prepare, to have some song bits ready for him.
Ron, you're supposed to be trying to sleep, not thinking.
Well, that's about all it takes. Just one line of thought and boom, I'm gone.
Wears you out.
Yeah. It's not long. It's a few minutes and I'm asleep.
I like that it's think about Dave as well. We'll have to tell
Yeah,
him.
right.
Let me think about Dave and
Gotta go
As I'm
His head.
falling asleep.
Well, it could be anything. It could be, wonder if tomorrow's going to be busy at UPS,
right.
And
And then you're out.
yeah.
Some people get anxious by that. It puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just something that your mind starts running on, and then it drifts me into sleep. And then I have dreams.
Do we want? I don't think we should ask that today. That
Weird
might get us
ones.
way down the line here.
Yeah.
Lauren,
Yeah.
you posted a video about your routine, which is
I
super
did.
fun. People can see it on Facebook and other stuff.
Dana loved that.
Oh, thanks, Dana.
My favorite
fun.
part was the shirt you sleep
My
in.
nasty
'Cause
shirt.
You have a baby, so the baby's like spitting up all night. So
Yeah, and what you don't see is right before that I fed him, so he spit up on me.
yeah, and you got spit up stains all over
Yeah.
the place. Yeah, which is totally normal. Everybody,
Yeah.
nobody's like trying to look good when they sleep.
No.
So what's your routine thing?
Wash my face, brush my teeth,
Yeah,
go to sleep.
just get in bed in like a shirt and shorts or something, right?
Long pants because it's quite cold. in our
Long
house.
pants?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
long pants and a t-shirt. It's quite cold.
Okay.
Eddie and Trey are very warm people, and I am not. So they outvote me on that.
So it's cool temperature in the room, probably.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. All right. Daria, what about you?
I brush my teeth. I take a shower. I
Very nice.
I have like 4 pairs of polka dot pajamas, and I go to bed in those.
Oh, you have actual pajamas. See, some
I do.
people do that. My wife has pajamas. Like, you go to the pajamas section.
No, I'm just in sweats.
I've never done that. I've always thought about it. Like, oh, that'd be fun.
I like pajamas.
Yeah. Do you think about Dave Safransky to fall asleep, or
If I did, I think I would be awake way longer than I wanted to be.
I do the shower thing at night, brush my teeth because I want to listen to my dentist and all that. I have a long routine checking my alarm because I have this total fear
Yeah, me
that
too.
that I won't wake up. And
I set 4.
I check my alarms like 6 times.
Yeah.
I probably twice that for me.
And then I'll probably wake up at least once in the middle of the night thinking
Check it
I
again.
overslept. It's like, no, it's 2 a.m. Go back to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah, when you wake up at this time for work, this is what happens. And
Because you get
so,
scared you're going to miss it.
yeah, because no human just naturally wakes up at the time we have to get up. And shorts and a T-shirt. Right now, it's my Yoda Man T-shirt. It's a Yoda shirt. It's green. It's got Yoda's face on it.
That's
And
so
says
embarrassing.
Yoda Man.
That's so embarrassing.
That's not embarrassing. That's awesome. Ron's like, maybe I should wear a shirt to bed.
Yeah, I'll look for that one.
Like the cold temperature, and then we hit it. Now, I asked this because the Wall Street Journal posted something. It's, quote, if you sleep in socks, you're a psychopath. Anybody sleep in socks?
Yeah, I do.
Whoa.
Do you?
Because it's cold in my house.
You sleep in socks?
Yes, I don't want to, but it is so cold. I have to.
Does Eddie know you're a psychopath?
Yeah, yesterday I went to sleep without socks, and of course I go to sleep way before him. So he came in at whatever time it was, and I said, "Can you please get me some socks? My feet are cold."
That's such a wife move.
Sorry,
And he can't say no. He
I
can't
have been
say no.
asleep for 3 hours. I
she's
wasn't
not
gonna get
getting up.
out.
And he didn't say something like I was like, oh, I'm sorry, are your feet broken?
No, he just gave me his socks.
Oh,
Because he's a good man.
Aw.
what a good man.
Maybe he is a psycho for keeping the house that cold.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Like, what is the temperature of your house right now?
Well, at nighttime it probably gets down to 66 or 65.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, so I'm
65
shivering.
at night.
I'm shivering. And we also have a door in our bedroom out to the outside, so probably adds a little extra.
You could close it.
chill. Oh, it is. It's called a
Okay, good.
draft.
One time I was in bed and I'm just sitting there. I wasn't wearing socks, but Sarah moves her feet over and touches the bottom of my feet. She goes,
Ooh.
"Are you wearing socks?" I go, "No." She goes, "Ew, your feet are gross." I don't go like scrape them with that cheese grater like girls do.
Right.
It's called a pumice stone.
Looks like a cheese grater, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like you're grating your feet. What do you do with the shavings?
Throw them away?
Oh, okay, good. Whew.
What do you mean?
Put them in a
We're not
pot
saving
of
them, Brian.
water
I don't know
and
what
boil
you
them
do.
up.
Boil them.
Ron, it is too early on a Monday morning.
So the Wall Street Journal goes on to say an undercover inquiry by the Wall Street Journal finds that socks in bed is dividing couples and the public square. Opponents physically recoil at the notion and say people who snooze in socks can't be trusted.
You trusted me
Wow.
before this.
Lauren just made a face like, well, the shoe fits. If the
You
sock
trusted
fits.
me before this.
So somebody named Sean McMahon says, that's just psychopathic behavior right there, wearing socks to bed. He's a 32-year-old retail worker from Deltona, Florida, who called a former roommate weird for doing so. He recalls watching a murder mystery one time where a character in the movie wears socks to sleep, and that person was the killer. In Virginia, Johnson wasn't always a socker. He wore them, a pair of generic. I don't know why they wrote it like that. Socks to sleep for the first time after reading about the benefits. The first night, he said, it feels like you've put your feet in jail. Your feet are like, get me out of here. But he woke feeling more rested. So now Johnson has a few pairs of boot-length wool socks. Some from a nearby grocery store, warm but not too warm. He specifically wears to sleep. After his nightly shower, he kicks off on the air conditioner, puts the room down to 65, and drifts off to dreamland in his big wool socks.
That's what I said. It's cold. I don't wear wool socks, though. Then my feet would get too hot.
Mm-hmm.
Just regular.
Just regular?
Socks, yeah.
Okay. Authorities from Cleveland Clinic. Uh-oh.
Oh, gotta be true.
Ooh.
And the University of Florida Health Department have expounded on the positives of sleeping in socks. This is their science in this. A study published in the Journal of Physiological Anthropology, one of my favorites, found that young men fall asleep 7.5 times faster, slept 32 minutes longer, and woke up 7.5 times less often than those not wearing socks. Ron is now intrigued.
Gonna wear some socks.
It's going to be undergarments. It might seem that socks would make you too toasty, but counterintuitively, researchers socks help lower your core temperature.
Huh.
A process that assists in sleep. Yeah.
Interesting.
Chilly feet can raise the temperature by
it's trying to warm you
sending
up.
more blood and heat to the core areas, according to Cleveland Clinic, which explains. They say, so what does adding a fluffy pair of socks do? Those cuddly duds warm your feet. I hope they didn't actually say that. Those cuddly duds. Cleveland Clinic, stop it. Relaxing and widening blood vessels that constrict while cold. The improved blood circulation in your overall body helps release more heat through your skin. Only 12% of people report wearing socks to bed.
So I'm special. Thank you.
I like how you put that. You could say rare, special.
Yeah.
It looks like 63% don't wear socks at all. 25 sometimes do. I'm the 25%. If it's real cold and I can't quite figure it out, like I don't know what to do, I wear socks. Occasionally.
Well, yeah. It's 6 degrees outside today. Or what is it right now, Ron? Like 2?
Yeah.
You know, I've been trying to tell you people for all these years. I look at people and I go, when I grew up in Minnesota, it was always so cold that the snow squeaks. And people always go, what? What are you talking about? That's not a thing. Go outside today, walk around. Go ahead.
Yep.
Not in socks, though, just in shoes. Well, not just in shoes.
Yeah.
Wear shoes along with everything else, and you'll hear it squeak. And you can say, sorry, Brian, I was wrong. You were right. All right, you going to wear socks now, guys? Daria, socks with pajamas? Go.
Probably not.
Ron?
No.
Okay, well, I might try it. Sounds like you get better sleep that way. Coming up in just a minute, it's MLK Day, and I've got not 10, but a list of 10 surprising facts about Martin Luther King Jr., some of which I think that are exceptionally interesting. I'll share with you in a moment.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. This is why so many people are joining MediShare right now. MediShare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. MediShare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market, supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats and Farm Market is at dumameats.com.
Mates than soulmates.
He never, ever cleans up after himself.
I didn't feel like I had a say.
We just kept butting heads.
Family Life's Weekend to Remember is a weekend to get away, get refreshed, and reflect on what matters most.
It really opened my eyes to how great marriage could be.
Attend a Weekend to Remember.
Amen.
It's a must.
Register by January 22nd and save 50% at weekendtoremember.com.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
This is WCRF. It is 6:24. And don't forget, our Walkworthy Men's Conference is coming up real quick. Text WALK to 440-546-2255 to get your tickets for you, your dad, your brother, your neighbor, your men's group, your boys group, your boy band, whatever it is. We're going to have Dr. Nick Gatsky preaching, Dr. Mark Jobe, others. A great time will be had by all. You don't want to miss it. Saturday, March 2nd, Canton Baptist Temple. Text WALK to 440-546-2255. Well, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in the United States of America. It's a federal holiday. More and more places are giving their employees some time off, which is fantastic.
Yeah, this year the Teamsters' new contract has secured Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a holiday.
So you weren't throwing boxes?
I won't tonight.
Watch out.
We had a optional shift I signed up for, but they didn't choose me. So,
well, their loss.
Yep.
Well, I throughout the morning, I've got various things I'd like to share about MLK that I think are pretty interesting. The first one is from Time Magazine from a while back. 10 surprising facts about Martin Luther King Jr. that I'm sure Ron knows them all, but you ladies may not. Do you realize that Martin Luther King Jr. was the first African-American person to be named Time Magazine's Man of the Year, or Person of the Year?
I didn't. That's very cool.
In 1963, he was Man of the Year before they changed it to Person of the Year, which was pretty cool. That's neat. How about this one? King is the only non-president whose birthday is a national holiday.
Guess I never thought about it.
He's the only non-president who gets one.
What about Christopher Columbus?
Oh, that's not a national holiday anymore, is it?
Is that his birthday, or is that just a random day they picked?
It's probably a random day.
I'm going to refrain from adding any commentary about Christopher Columbus. We're just going to leave it there.
Move along.
How about this? Did you know an assassination attempt was made on him like a decade before his death? He almost died. And that experience kind of affirmed his faith in nonviolence. So check this out. A decade before his death, King narrowly escaped an assassination attempt while signing copies of his memoir about the year-long Montgomery bus boycott. It was called Stride Toward Freedom. In Harlem, Isola Ware Curry, a 42-year-old black woman, approached him and thrust a 7-inch ivory-handled steel letter opener into his chest.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
With such force that it snapped the handle.
Oof.
She said, "I've been after him for 6 years. I'm glad I done it." She shouted.
Oh, my gosh.
The blade stopped just beside his heart, and doctors later told him that if he had so much as sneezed, he wouldn't have made it.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Didn't someone bomb his house, too? Or am I misremembering that?
I believe so. That sounds familiar.
I wonder what her motive was, because it's unusual to think an African American would want to kill Martin Luther King.
Right, and I was wondering the same thing. She was institutionalized in a mental health facility until her death in 2015. Many of those, like, wasn't there, the guy that tried to kill Ronald Reagan was like trying to impress Jodie Foster or something?
Right, John Hinckley Jr.
Yeah, so she was not doing well, essentially. Now, here's the more interesting part for followers of Christ. After this incident, King said that he bore no animus toward the woman and did not want charges pressed.
Wow.
Reiterating his commitment to nonviolence, which a lot of people wouldn't go that far. Did you know he started college at age 15?
I did know that.
I knew that.
Isn't that crazy? He skipped grades 9 through 12. He just skipped high school.
Crazy smart.
Let's see. You're really smart. You're going to just skip all of it. Just skip it all. And he started at Morehouse College at age 15. What?
What am I doing with my life?
I know, right?
And if my kids are listening,
What was I doing?
come on, slackers, step it up.
Yeah.
Just kidding. You're not slackers. You might watch this later. Are we streaming today?
We are.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Just kidding. You're all great. Keep it up. Did you know that the King family paid the hospital bills for a celebrity's birth? Have you ever heard of one Julia Roberts?
What?
This sounds made up. You're like, Brian, you're a liar. You're a liar. No, check it out. The King family paid for her hospital bills for her birth. So, actress Julia Roberts revealed that the King family covered her parents' hospital expenses when she was born in 1967. She said, "My parents couldn't pay for the hospital." She told Gayle King that in a 2022 interview on the History Channel. Roberts explained that her parents owned a theater school in Atlanta, and that Coretta Scott King asked if her children could enroll. Apparently, they were having a hard time finding a place that would accept her kids in 1967 in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, my mom was like, sure, come on over. And so they all just became friends, and they helped us out in a jam.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Again, I don't know that
That's
that was
crazy.
publicized until Julia Roberts said that.
Probably not.
Which I think, again, it speaks again to the heart of the King family.
Right.
Which is pretty incredible. I knew that would surprise you. Did you know he was the youngest person to be awarded the Nobel Prize? You may have known that. Did you know that?
I did not.
Don't know that I did.
He was 35.
Wow.
Lauren, you got 5 years.
Oh, great.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
5 years? Darn, you got a little more time.
Couldn't be all the time in the world. I'm never going to get there.
Right.
Ron and I can just give up now.
Yeah.
Finally, did you know his name was not Martin Luther King Jr. when he was born?
What was it?
You didn't know?
No, I didn't know that.
This is so fun. Ron knows all this stuff because I've said it before, I think. But did you know?
No, I didn't know that.
He was born Michael King Jr. on January 15th, 1929.
Did he change his name?
He didn't change his name, no. See all the twists?
Yeah.
Do you like a twist? So in 1934, his dad, pastor of Atlanta's Ebenezer Baptist Church, also named Michael King, that's why he was junior, went on a religious trip around the world and was inspired by Germany's Protestant Reformation figure Martin Luther, whose advocacy and teachings challenged the Catholic Church and contributed to the split in Western Christianity. After returning to the U.S., his father made the decision to change his 5-year-old son's name and his own in honor of Martin Luther. So he became Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, you've got a Martin Luther bobblehead.
He's with us.
Bobblehead.
There's still time to change your kid's name. He was 5. You could change Ellis's name right now.
Oh, Martin.
Isn't that wild? A little fun
is
fact
crazy.
for you. We got more of those facts to share a little bit later on today, and some other interesting tidbits you may not know about Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That part's forgotten a lot or ignored. It's a Christian radio station. He's one of the most influential American pastors / world leaders of Christian faith ever.
Yep.
We'll get to more on that later. But in just a minute, we're going to get work on our marriage. Our marriages need help always, and so our good friends Joe and Cindy Farini will be with us from My Marriage Matters to talk about 10 ways to focus on your marriage this year.
Just pause for prayer. The Apostle Paul tells us in Philippians 4, I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. What is the secret? He tells us, I can do everything through him who gives me strength. Would you pray with me? Heavenly Father, every good and perfect gift is from you, and we thank you for the goodness you've provided. Every day of our lives are written in your book. You have purposed and planned our days before we existed. You know the mountains we will climb and the valleys we will walk through, and you promise that you will never leave us or forsake us. Thank you, Lord, for this promise. Strengthen us during those times of challenge, times when we ask why, times of pain and suffering, times of loss and discouragement. Lord, meet us in these fragile moments and sustain us. We need assurance of your love and hope. And strengthen us during times of success. Keep us from pride and the temptations that lure us. Keep us from thinking we don't need you. Our flesh is weak and weary, and we ask you to give us the strength to persevere, to trust, to hope, the strength to just get through the day. God, you are all-powerful and full of mercy and love. May we rest on these truths as we go through times of happiness and peace, and also as we face trouble and adversity. Remind us during these times that you are molding and making us into the people that you want us to be, that you are preparing us to make a difference in our world. Today, Lord, we look to your strength, the secret sauce that will keep us content. And as we seek you moment by moment, allow us to grow in our faith and knowledge of you, so that we, like Paul, can do everything through you, Jesus, who gives us strength. In Jesus' name.
Moody Radio's thankful for support from listeners and businesses like Deerfield Ag Services. They help in adaptation of new technologies and techniques of farm and business management. More information about Deerfield Ag and how they can help is at deerfieldagservices.com.
Walk worthy. The Apostle Paul encouraged us in Ephesians 4 to live lives worthy of the callings we receive from God. And we at Moody Radio Cleveland want to encourage you to attend Walk Worthy 2024. Don't miss speakers Mark Jobe and Nick Gatsky on Saturday, March 2nd at Canton Baptist Temple. To register now, text WALK to 440-546-2255. That's 440-546-2255. Send the word WALK.
They Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Ryan, it is 6:38 here on WCRF. That was House Fires, the band. Not like I'm not declaring an emergency anywhere.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, and joining us now are friends and regular contributors. They have been speakers with Family Life's Weekend to Remember for over 20 years. Cindy's been a contributor to Pause for Prayer since 1998. Joe and Cindy Farini, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And hello, are you?
Happy New Year.
You too. Boy, exciting to have you guys back for another year. I like that you're kind of focusing on that idea of 10 things we can do to focus on marriage for the next year. So we got a lot to go through. So let's just jump right into it. Who wants to get us going?
Well, I can get started here. I think, on the top of my list of things is just the importance of just being a student of your spouse. And, when we first got married, newlyweds, all we could think about was just spending time together and talking all night and longingly look into each other's eyes. Then 5 years go by and 2 or 3 kids come along, and then you're just trying to remember what each other look like, and it's just really kind of sad to realize that, there is a tendency just to gradually drift away from each other. And I think the only thing I can tell you is that becoming a student of your spouse can become more difficult the longer you're married. And the way to solution to that is just to be very intentional about spending more time together. And, some of the things that we're even doing is just doing some activities together. And we have this little booklet that we have right now has to do with, do you know your husband? Do you know your wife? Just a series of questions that just kind of go back and forth and just open some communications lines that you have to be very intentional about opening up for each other. So, that's one thing.
Yeah, and Lauren, you're kind of in the middle of that phase he was talking about, where you got 2 kids, and so you really don't have time to gaze at each other longingly and study each other. It's more like, here, take the baby. I've got to get this one.
Yeah, you pass the baby off, take the toddler. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard. So yeah, you got to be a student of your spouse. That's good. For me, recently, Sarah's noticed how much more often I'm just not listening to anything. Like if I'm reading an article or something and people are talking to me, I wouldn't even know. I have to be more aware of life in order to study my spouse. So I'll work on that one.
That's a lifetime journey there, buddy.
You've had that problem too.
It doesn't get any better as you get older, so you just got to be real intentional.
I'll just say it's a problem of age, I guess. What's our second one?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in just on that one for a moment, because I feel like it's really important. We have 10 that we're going to mention, and for this segment, we might concentrate on this one, but we'll kind of hop onto the other ones too. But I also feel like I think you said the word intentional, Brian, and I think that is a key word there. Joe was a very good student going through school. I had more fun and he studied, but I think there's something to be said about being a good student. Like you want to please the teacher. You want to find out what does the teacher want you to learn so that you can be a good student. And then, of course, you apply yourself, right? You apply yourself to the learning process. But in marriage, I think it has to be not just, one or two topics. It has to be, what does my spouse need emotionally or physically, spiritually, even medically, financially? And then as you go over those different areas, see if there's even other areas, I'm sure there are. And then as a student of your spouse, to really study that and then practice it. You don't memorize something that you're learning for a particular class without studying and practicing and repeating it over and over and over again. And I think back to like my chemistry labs. I was horrible in chemistry, and just the things I had to do just to get it. I had to do things over and over until I found out what worked. And so I think that's something that we should do with our spouse. We should really stop, look, listen, and then really pursue, what it is that our spouse really needs.
Well, you may have struggled in chemistry, but it's a good thing Joe doesn't struggle at all in chemistry, huh?
That's right.
Lauren's rolling her eyes in the back of her head. Come on, I couldn't resist.
But anyway, so that's just the first one. And then if we were just going to take the next couple ones for this first part of our time with you, another one would be to pursue oneness in your marriage and not isolation. And that takes practice to, learn to be more together than separating yourselves apart. And that's in so many areas. And another point would be to be sure that you have, you leave what's behind, and then you cleave together and you weave a life together. So leave, cleave, and weave. And then a fourth one would be that husbands should practice leading and really leading your wife well. And then a wife should learn to come alongside her husband and complete him and help. A helper is not a lesser role. Actually, I think a helper can be a very big role and sometimes a more important role than the leader, in that you're having to be attentive to the things that are going on around you. And then lastly, and we can touch on any of these if you are interested, but the fifth one would be to talk about your differences and find solutions in those. And as we all know, right, every single one of us that are talking this morning, we have differences in our marriage that we have to find solutions for.
Now, Cindy, some women listening might be uncomfortable with what you were saying about, like, what do you mean, let him lead? Like, he has to tell me what to do? What are you talking about?
I actually love this point so much, because I think if women start to have that kind of an attitude, I think they're looking at it the wrong way. I really do. I feel that, in any situation, you have a leader and you have a follower. In a country, you don't have two presidents, you have one. And so you have to begin to understand it's not a matter of power so much as it is understanding what each other's positions are. And in our marriage, there's oftentimes I take the lead, but Joe gives me that lead because I'm better at it. And that's what a leader does. A leader looks at all the different things in the situation and chooses what the right thing is to do. So I've never felt like, oh, I'm the lesser person in this marriage because I'm just the helper and I just sweep up the dust after it settles. That's not my role. My role is to complete him, and his role is to be a good leader. And I've shared this before, but I feel like this is really important. There was a time that my hair was falling out. It was a really tough time in our life, in our marriage. We were all of our parents died. My brother died. There was just a lot going on, and Christina was soon to be married. And I was thinking, I'm going to need a wig because my hair was falling out so badly. And someone had called me to get together, and my husband said to me, if this person needs as much as she normally needs, I'm going to ask you to not get together with her.
Oh, wow.
That's how he leads. He didn't lead and say, you're not getting together with that person. So there's a leadership quality that I think a husband should have. And I am very thankful that my husband was intentional to look after me in that way. And so when we start to look at the leadership person as you're squashing my life, that's the wrong way to do it. But then a husband who leads properly will not have a wife who is feeling that way at all.
Right, absolutely.
Excellent points from Joe and Cindy Farini. We're up against a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue chatting with them. Again, they're with My Marriage Matters. 10 ways to focus on your marriage this year.
Attention all high school students and parents. We invite you to visit Moody's campus in the heart of downtown Chicago, in person or virtually. Experience life as a Moody student by scheduling an individual visit to campus with your family. We are excited to welcome you to learn more about whether Moody is right for you and your student. Meet with an admissions counselor and sit in on class in person or through Zoom. Schedule your campus visit today at moody.edu/experience Moody.
If you have at least 10 years of experience in education administration or enrollment, please listen. The Moody Bible Institute is hiring a vice president and dean of student enrollment services to lead the marketing, recruitment, and retention efforts for Moody's undergraduate, seminary, and aviation programs. Help us prepare the next generation of students to fulfill their godly calling. Learn more and apply online at moodyjobs.org. Enter keyword Vice President. That's moodyjobs.org, keyword Vice President.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free. day.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838. That's 1-800-659-9838.
Are you looking for candid conversation from a biblical perspective? You found it. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
6:49, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about 10 ways to focus on your marriage for this coming year. And we're doing that with our friends Joe and Cindy Farini with My Marriage Matters. They serve faithfully for over 20 years at the Weekend to Remember Getaway Marriage Conference, so this is one of their specialties. We've gone through the first 5. Which one of you has taken number 6 on our list?
Well, I'll go with number 6. And I think of all the things we're going to talk about here today, Brian, this one is an essential that we all need to do. Just kind of make a commitment to a New Year's resolution, whatever you want to do, however you want to say it, and it's to pray with your spouse. Pray with your spouse, pray for your spouse. And I think this is an essential to really building strong marriages. And what we do practically speaking is, we end every day in praying, and it's a good time. Then at the end of that prayer, we kiss and say, I love you. And that's just a non-negotiable for us. And I was quite surprised the other day. There's a national leader in ministry I was talking to, and he says, I never pray with my spouse. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. How do you really excel in what you're doing if you're not connecting with the most important person in your world, and that's your spouse? So I would say, if there's one takeaway from this time together, it would be just the importance of praying for your spouse and with your spouse. And the next one is just encourage one another, show respect and admire your spouse, and just love sacrificially. And I think that's where the husband needs to step up. And if I could just tie this back into number 4 about the husband, just the importance of leading responsibly, is just all those things are essentials to really leading responsibly. And I would say this, that if a husband is doing those things, encouraging his spouse, showing respect, admiring, loving sacrificially, having your wife submit to what it is that needs to be done, that's easy to do at that point for the spouse, because they want to come alongside and help. And so I think, we need to love, as husbands, we need to love our wife as Christ loved the church. And if we can do that one, then a lot of the other issues that we're talking about here when it comes to marriage will fall right into place. And that's where the last one is, really making your marriage your ministry. And I would say, quite honestly, that is really who me and Cindy are. We recognize that our life together is our number one priority ministry to have, that we have in our life.
I think a lot of people, after they've been married for a number of years, they struggle with number 8, show respect and admire your spouse. Because especially when you're in the difficulty of raising children, your spouse can be more annoying than admirable. I'm not talking about Sarah. Ron told me about this. I don't, what do I know? So what does that look like in a practical sense, to respect and admire your spouse?
Well, I think there's, we could start with a list. What did we admire about our spouse when we were dating? What are some of the things that we really admired? And just start with a list. Maybe don't expect that you're going to come up with 10. Come up with 3. Maybe it was that they were hard workers. Maybe it was that they had a great sense of humor. What are the things that you really admired? And some of those things, the truth be told, some of those things may get, you might get aggravated with them or frustrated when you're married and you're thinking, well, that good sense of humor doesn't come in handy right now, when we're trying to have a good conversation and you're just, trying to be funny. But we have to look at those things and say, his humor or his, hard work is something good in our marriage, and to really look at those things and be able to concentrate on them rather than all the negatives, because we all have negative things in our personality. And when we start to concentrate on those negative things, then we show no respect and we have no admiration for our spouse.
Yeah, you almost have to remind yourself on a regular basis about what you respect and admire about your spouse, or you can get lost in the negative.
Absolutely.
And, too, along life's way, things change, I mean, Joe's no longer working, if you will, at the office, but I see him working so hard in ministry and the different things that he is in charge of, and he's a great leader, and so I admire that. There's some of the things that he does that I really wouldn't want to do, because I'm not a leadership person in the same way that he is.
On the other hand, Cindy is a leader because she's doing a lot of things that I would find a little overwhelming for me to do. She just comes by it naturally. And it's very common, I think, in our day to just say thank you for doing this and doing that, whatever it is you're doing. And that's a way of showing admiration, just learning to say thank you for those things. And it may be little things, but those little things are cumulative. And I think it's really important to be very intentional about just saying thank you to each other.
And I just want to add too, like even for us, whoever gets Joey ready in the morning, the other one usually says thank you. And that's it's just part of our routine that we do every single day. And sometimes I'll go and look in the sink and the dishes are put in the dishwasher, and I say, Joe, thanks for putting the dishes in the dishwasher. Just little things. Yesterday, I think I spent 6 hours updating our password book and doing, getting everything in order. And he thanked me for that. And I thought, that's nice. He could have just said, oh, glad you got it done, but he thanked me for it.
That done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
No, don't do that.
No, but Sarah and I went through a phase too where we had to practice intentionality when it comes to thank yous. I mean, does she have to thank me if I do something that needs to get done that I'm perfectly capable of doing? No, she shouldn't have to. But it helps when she does. And likewise, I think there's couples even that could go for years not having commented to each other about what they admire and respect about each other. And so I love that you two modeled that, because somebody needed to hear it. You almost have to make a practice of it at maybe go out to dinner and on the date, be intentional about saying, hey, I want to be sure you understand what I love and admire about you. I'm going to tell you what it is, or write a note or something, because it can be years before someone says something.
Sure. And can I just add, too, for the person that maybe it's hard to say thank you, it doesn't always come easily. And sometimes you really don't even want to, because you don't appreciate so many other things in the marriage that are happening right now. But I think please and thank you. My parents used to say this, please and thank you go a long way. And that in our house, you didn't just get stuff. You said please and you said thank you. And I do really feel as you practice that, you do gain a relationship with your spouse and even people at work and in ministry. Those two phrases, please and then thank you, 2 words, are very, very important.
And your children see what's going on too.
Yes.
And many times, we'll use Joey as an example here, but Joey, when we're doing something for him, I mean, he doesn't have a very big vocabulary, but when we do something for him, he asks us to do something, he'll say, please and thank you, and it's just very sincere. Mm-hmm. But where did he get that from, right? I mean, he got that from listening to mom and dad talking and interacting with each other.
And he wouldn't probably get some of those things if he didn't, because that's how important it is in our family. And he can say those words, and so he should.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what? The model you guys have given him, he's a tender-hearted man. Your son Joey. I just love spending time with him. He just exudes joy, and he does. He says those please and thank yous. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
Now, I think I want to squeeze in one more to chat about here. Number 7 on your list was encourage. So how can we encourage our spouses?
I feel for me that's a little bit of an easy one, because I do believe that's probably my top spiritual gift is encouragement and exhortation. And so I feel like it's easy for me to encourage my husband and others. But I will also say that when things aren't going well, it's really also easy to withhold that. And so I feel people should take that this word encouragement and really put it to practice and ask yourself, how can I encourage my spouse to do better, to be encouraged in their job, to be encouraged in their walk with the Lord, come down, write yourself a few different points of things that you see that you want to encourage them, and especially if they're really low about something and really emotionally having a hard time with something, to really find ways to encourage them through that.
Yeah, and putting a different spin on our conversation here, Brian, I think it's really important to keep in mind that a message I once heard from somebody was like that the number one evangelistic tool that you can have for reaching your neighbors with the gospel is a successful marriage. And you think back, we did 10 things here. I mean, each of these 10 points, our books have been written about each of these, right? But so the question that we need to ask ourselves is, what's the motivation for us to do any of these things? And I think that's where, starting out the new year, having a healthy perspective and motivation is critically important if we're going to pursue oneness in a marriage relationship. And from my perspective, I mean, I kind of filter everything through this grid of my desire has always been to see a revival take place, awakening take place, not just in Northeast Ohio, but around the world. And that revival begins with you individually, yourself, and then that spreads to your marriage, and then that spreads to your family. And for most of us, that's our world. And if you have any hint of desire to see revival become a reality, then the number one thing that you need to be doing is making sure that, number one, you have a right relationship with the Lord, but number two, that your relationship with your spouse is right. And, having, praying for revival and building strong marriages and families, that's two sides of the same coin. And so I find it really difficult for me to understand and listen to people who are, saying spiritual type things, and yet they are kind of throwing their spouse to the curb. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. But where I see marriages being, each one encouraging one another and lifting one another up, then if they add to, and we need to be praying for spiritual revival, well, that guy has my attention at that point, because I'm seeing his commitment to the Lord being reflected in his marriage. And so I think that's the perspective and motivation we need to have to do any of these 10 things.
Absolutely. Joe and Cindy Farini with My Marriage Matters, thank you so much for your list today and your advice about 10 ways to focus on marriage this coming year. If folks want to see the list or learn more about your ministry, how do they do it?
Well, yes, I'm going to put the list on as soon as we get off the call here. I'm going to put the list on My Marriage Matters on Facebook and, copy it and maybe take one a month and just concentrate on that. And then at the end of the year, you'll have a whole new marriage, if you practice these things. We'd love to have you come there and join us there. And you can also go to joefarini.com or cindyfarini.com, where this conversation will be posted probably tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thanks again, you two. Can't wait till next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. It's 7:02. Don't forget, you can watch our show on YouTube. If you haven't caught that, text live to 440-546-2255. I've been working hard now to smile a little bit. When I spent part of my time with Joe and Cindy listening and going, oh, wait, I look upset.
No, you're just listening.
Yeah, but when I'm listening, I look like I'm kind of like squinting and frowning. But that's not how I feel on the inside, Lauren. So I didn't like smile like legit, like big, like, hi. It was more like, pleasant face. It's sad that I have to work to make a pleasant face.
I think a lot of people do.
Not Ron.
I'm pleasant all the time.
I know. We're all striving to be more like Ron. It's 7:03, time for Ron's News. When we come back, I find it to be one of the most compelling things that happened behind the scenes of the I Have a Dream speech from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And also, we're going to play a fun game. It's This or That is coming up here in the next half hour as well.
Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Senator Joe Manchin says if he decides to run for president as a third-party candidate, he'll be in it to win it. It's 7:03. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. Speaking on Fox News Sunday, the West Virginia Democrat said he isn't looking to play the role of spoiler to send the election in one direction or the other. Manchin said he wants to wait until the March 5th Super Tuesday primaries to see where the two major parties are headed before deciding if he's going to run. With temperatures in the Akron area today and tomorrow forecasted to reach only into the teens, city leaders have extended hours at the Summit Lake Community Center on West Crozier Street to be from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. today and tomorrow. Meanwhile, the emergency overnight shelter on East Vora Street is open through Monday, January 22nd. Hours are 7 p.m. until 8 a.m. And an Elyria family says police raided the wrong home when their residence was raided last week and that a small child was injured during the police activity. Courtney Prince claims her 1-year-old son was injured by flashbangs used by police officers. The police claim they raided the correct home and the child was not exposed to any chemical agents. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
A big problem you didn't know you had: envy. It is there inside of almost every person hearing my voice right now. That pervasive, corrosive thing that, if it's left unchecked, will cause all kinds of serious damage. Hi, I'm Mike Fabarez, and Envy is the name of my new book, and I'm going to share biblical ways you can shore up your heart and your mind and close those gaps of vulnerability. So get ready for a new kind of life, a life Christ intended. Get your copy of Envy. Go to moodybooks.org.
In sports, the Steelers battle the Bills this afternoon after league officials postponed Sunday's regularly scheduled contest due to the snow in Buffalo. And in case you missed it, the Cinderella season came to an end as the Browns got blown out by the Texans 45-14 in the wild card round on Saturday. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny this morning, then becoming partly sunny with highs around 13. At last check, we had clear skies in the Cleveland area. We are now down to 3 degrees. Akron and Canton, clear and 3 degrees. Lorain, Elyria, clear skies, and the temperature is 2 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and let me share a little bit from his 1957 speech, Give Us the Ballot. In the midst of these prevailing conditions, we come to Washington today pleading with the President and members of Congress to provide a strong, moral, and courageous leadership